Have you ever caught yourself having a full conversation with no one else in the room? You might stop and wonder if you're losing your mind, but psychology actually tells us something completely different. Directing your thoughts outward through spoken words can dramatically soothe your emotional state, boost your problem-solving capabilities, and elevate your core confidence. In the fast-paced rhythm of modern life, where burnout and performance anxiety are almost universal, talking to yourself is not a sign of weakness. It is a vital mechanism for self-regulation. It provides a rare moment of clarity in a world that constantly demands your attention, allowing you to organize the chaos in your mind. Think about those nights when you lie awake, staring at the ceiling, unable to drift off to sleep. There's an old piece of lore that suggests when you cannot sleep, it means you are currently awake in the dream of someone else who holds you dear. While science attributes sleeplessness to elevated cortisol and the blue light of our digital screens, the human heart still clings to these poetic interpretations. We live in an age of profound digital connection, yet deep emotional isolation. The thought that someone, somewhere, is holding your image in their subconscious mind provides a comforting shield against the cold reality of modern loneliness. It speaks to our deep, underlying need to matter to someone else, to be remembered when the rest of the world is asleep. When it comes to the complex landscape of romance, psychological observations reveal that young men often fall in love much faster than young women. In contemporary dating culture, which is frequently masked by casual encounters and superficial swiping, this rapid emotional attachment can feel overwhelming. Men are often conditioned by societal expectations to suppress their emotional needs, creating a deep reservoir of unexpressed affection. When they finally encounter a genuine connection, the emotional dam breaks quickly. This sudden vulnerability makes them highly susceptible to deep feelings, as they seek an authentic sanctuary away from the competitive pressure of their daily lives. This emotional intensity is heavily impacted by our basic physiological well-being, particularly our sleep. Architecture. Investigations in behavioral psychology show that young people who consistently get less than 8 hours of sleep face a significantly higher risk of chronic irritability and severe depressive states. Modern society often glorifies sleep deprivation as a badge of honor, a symbol of dedication to the ultimate hustle. Yet, this constant exhaustion quietly drains our emotional resilience, leaving the brain vulnerable to darkness. When you deny your body the rest it requires, you are not just tired, you are actively stripping away your psychological armor. Our early years leave indelible marks on how we navigate the world as adults, even influencing the way we sleep. Individuals who habitually curl their legs tightly toward their chest in a fetal position often carry unresolved feelings of fear or emotional neglect from their childhood. This specific posture is an instinctual attempt to protect the most vulnerable areas of the body, a physical retreat back to the safety of the womb. Even decades later, when sleeping in a modern apartment, the body remembers the ancient need for self-preservation. It highlights how deeply our earliest environments shape our unconscious actions and coping mechanisms. Similarly, if you find yourself becoming intensely angry over minor, insignificant issues, it is rarely about the event itself. Psychology suggests that this quick temper is often a subconscious cry for love, validation, and genuine human affection. In a hyper-independent culture that rewards stoicism, many individuals do not know how to openly ask for care. Instead, their unmet emotional needs manifest as sudden flashes of irritation. The broken glass or the missed text message becomes the socially acceptable outlet for a heart that simply feels invisible and starved for connection. One of the simplest yet most profound ways to bridge this emotional distance is through the power of a name. Addressing someone directly by their given name during a conversation naturally makes them feel more valued and deepens their subconscious liking toward you. Your name is the very first anchor of your identity, and hearing it spoken with warmth validates your existence. In a crowded room, in an era dominated by automated messages, generic emails, and distant digital interactions, using a person's actual name acts as a gentle, humanizing touch that restores intimacy to daily communication. The way our senses interact can also reveal incredible truths about human perception. For instance, if you firmly hold your nose while eating, apples, raw tomatoes, and onions will actually taste remarkably similar to your brain. This biological reality demonstrates how much of our everyday experience is a complex illusion constructed by the mind. It reminds us that what we perceive as absolute truth is often just a combination of sensory inputs. If our physical perception can be so easily altered by a simple change, it invites us to question how many of our emotional biases are also based on incomplete information. When an individual consciously chooses to withdraw from society and live in absolute isolation, they are stepping onto a precarious psychological path. Throughout history, extreme solitude has been viewed as a precursor to profound mental shifts, sometimes bordering on madness. Human beings are fundamentally wired for community and tribal connection. When you completely cut off the feedback loop of social interaction, the mind begins to spin inward, losing its anchor to shared reality. Without the gentle corrections of friendly conversation, your thoughts can easily become your own worst enemy. This deep connection to self-identity is remarkably universal, even across different personality types. When people are handed a brand new pen and asked to write down anything at all, an overwhelming 97% will immediately write their own name. This simple behavior reveals our inherent, unyielding focus on self-preservation and personal identity. No matter how selfless or detached we try to become, our own identity remains the primary lens through which we view the entire universe. It is the first thing we assert when given a blank slate, demonstrating our continuous desire to leave a personal mark on the world. Interestingly, individuals possessing exceptionally high intelligence often show a strong preference for spending time completely alone. In a society that constantly promotes networking and group collaboration, this deep craving for solitude can easily be misunderstood as cold, antisocial behavior. However, highly intelligent minds require significant quiet space to process complex concepts, reflect on deep ideas, and recharge their mental energy. For them, solitude is not a state of lonely isolation. It is a highly productive sanctuary where the constant noise of external expectations is silenced, allowing creative thoughts to flourish. When someone suddenly stops communicating with you without any clear explanation, the silence can feel deafening. Psychological dynamics suggest that when a person abruptly cuts you off, they are often still talking about you extensively behind your back. This behavior is usually a defensive mechanism used to justify their sudden withdrawal or to manage their own internal guilt. The silence you experience is rarely an absence of thought. Rather, it is a redirection of emotional energy, proving that you still occupy a significant space in their mind, even if it manifests as negativity. If you wish to remain on someone's mind throughout the duration of the day, psychology offers a fascinating, subtle strategy. Try engaging them in a deeply meaningful, warm conversation right before they drift off to sleep. The final thoughts of the evening have a powerful tendency to linger in the subconscious mind as it transitions into the dreaming state. By becoming the last positive anchor of their waking day, your words weave themselves into their nocturnal thoughts. This ensures a lasting psychological presence that carries over into the next morning. On a purely physical level, minor repetitive habits can sometimes point toward deeper psychological underlying conditions. For instance, individuals who frequently pick their nose in adulthood might be dealing with more than just a simple bad habit. In behavioral psychology, this Observing the natural inclinations of children can also offer profound insights into their future psychological development. If a young child frequently spends long moments staring quietly at the distant sky or the open horizon, it often indicates a deeply romantic, reflective, and profound internal world. These children are not merely daydreaming. They are actively engaging with the vastness of the universe and developing a rich, imaginative landscape. Nurturing this early sensitivity can lead to a highly creative adult life, though it also makes them more susceptible to the heavy emotional weights of the world. It is a comforting psychological truth that you appear significantly more attractive to the people around you than you perceive yourself to be in the mirror. When you look at your own reflection, you tend to focus intensely on every minor flaw, hyper-analyzing every perceived imperfection. However, when others look at you, they see a dynamic, living being. They take in the warmth of your spontaneous smile, the genuine kindness in your eyes, and the unique energy you bring into a room. You are viewed as a complete, beautiful person, not a collection of parts. The ancient philosophical wisdom stating that the hand which gives is also the hand which receives holds profound psychological truth. In a modern culture often driven by intense consumerism and personal gain, true fulfillment is frequently found in genuine altruism. When you extend help, kindness, or resources to another human being, your brain experiences a powerful release of positive neurochemicals. Generosity activates the same reward pathways as receiving a gift, proving that our psychological well-being is intrinsically tied to how we treat the people around us. Conversely, if you find yourself constantly moving your hands and feet or fidgeting restlessly while sitting, it often indicates an internally disturbed state of mind. This perpetual physical motion is the Buddhist way of channeling a surplus of anxious energy that has nowhere else to go. In our modern working environments, where we are expected to sit quietly for hours behind desks, this physical restlessness is a clear sign of mental overload. It is a physical manifestation of an overworked mind trying desperately to process stress. It is an unfortunate aspect of social psychology that most people will judge your social standing and character by your footwear rather than your face. Shoes are often viewed as a subconscious indicator of a person's attention to detail, financial stability, and overall self-care. Even in a casual society, these small visual cues carry immense weight in first impressions. It shows how deeply our brains rely on external shorthand shortcuts to categorize the people we meet, often overlooking the deeper complexities of human character. Family dynamics can also bring about some of our most agonizing emotional experiences. An ungrateful child can feel like a painful blemish on a parent's life, causing a deep and exhausting internal conflict. To leave the situation alone means enduring a constant, visible heartache that damages the family peace. Yet, to actively remove the child from one's life causes a sharp, tearing pain that cuts straight to the soul. This delicate dilemma perfectly illustrates the profound, unbreakable, yet often agonizing nature of parental love and familial responsibility. Be cautious of individuals who rush to become your closest friend overnight, as social psychology warns they are often the most likely to betray you later. True, lasting relationships require time, shared experiences, and consistent vulnerability to build a solid foundation of mutual trust. Those who fast-track intimacy are often projected onto an idealized version of you, or they are seeking a quick fix for their own deep loneliness. When a reality of your human flaws inevitably appears, their artificial devotion can quickly turn into resentment. If you find yourself frequently talking about someone from your past whom you claim to no longer love, psychology suggests a different reality. The very act of bringing their name into conversations indicates that they still hold a powerful sway over your emotional landscape. True indifference does not speak, nor does it look backward. It simply moves forward quietly. As long as you are actively discussing the past, the emotional embers are still burning, proving that the process of healing and letting go is still far from complete. There is a powerful psychological concept that suggests four isolating walls can occasionally make a man feel truly free. When the pressures of social media, professional expectations, and constant connectivity become completely overwhelming, a confined, solitary space offers absolute liberation. Within those walls, there is no need to perform, no requirement to smile, and no external judgment to fear. It becomes a sacred sanctuary where you can finally strip away your social armor and simply exist as your authentic self. Physical balance can also be a surprising window into our neurological and psychological health. If you find it remarkably difficult to walk in a completely straight line comfortably when sober, it could point to a subtle cognitive variation, sometimes associated with unusual thought patterns or magical thinking. Our spatial orientation and physical balance are deeply managed by complex neural pathways that align closely with our cognitive structures. When our internal perception of reality shifts, it can occasionally mirror itself in the way our bodies move through physical space. The ancient laws of nature remind us that when the proper time has come, the prey inevitably goes directly to the hunter. In a psychological sense, this speaks to the powerful, unavoidable pull of destiny and subconscious desire. We often find ourselves drawn towards situations, challenges, or relationships that we are meant to experience, even if they seem risky. Our internal drives and unresolved conflicts quietly guide our steps, leading us precisely to the places where we will face our greatest growth or our deepest reckonings. In professional environments, individuals who intensely dislike interruptions while working tend to be far more effective and dedicated workers. This trait reflects a capacity for deep focus, a psychological state where the mind becomes fully immersed in a task. In a modern workplace filled with constant notifications, emails, and meetings, the ability to protect your focus is a superpower. Those who guard their attention fiercely are not being rude. They are protecting the integrity of their creative and intellectual energy. Dreams continue to be one of the most mysterious frontiers of the human psyche. If someone close to you suddenly appears prominently in your dream, psychology suggests they may have been thinking about you intensely before they went to sleep. While science views dreams as a process of emotional consolidation, the idea of a subconscious bridge between connected souls remains a powerful human belief. It offers a sense of comfort, suggesting that our emotional ties can transcend physical distance and communicate through the language of symbols. During your darkest hours of adversity, it is absolutely vital for your psychological survival to remain connected to hope. Hope is not a passive, naive emotion. It is an active, resilient cognitive strategy that allows the brain to see past immediate suffering. When you lose hope, the mind shuts down its problem-solving abilities and sinks into a state of learned helplessness. Cultivating even a tiny glimmer of optimism keeps the flame of resilience alive, providing the fuel needed to endure the storm. Those who naturally stay awake until the late hours of the night often possess unique psychological advantages. Studies indicate that night owls are frequently highly creative, deeply intelligent, and capable of making firm, decisive choices when needed. The quiet solitude of the night provides a freedom from societal demands, allowing the mind to wander into unconventional territory. While the morning world rewards routine, the midnight world belongs to the thinkers, the creators, and the independent spirits. It is a poignant truth that people who are generally the kindest and most giving are often the ones hurting the most deeply inside. Their extraordinary empathy frequently stems from their own personal experiences with profound sadness or emotional neglect. because they know exactly. This behavior often stems from a lack of consistent attention or emotional stability during their formative years. The physical object becomes a tangible anchor of security, a reliable comfort that will never leave or reject them. It is a quiet coping mechanism, showing how deeply we crave permanence in a world that feels inherently unstable and unpredictable. On the other hand, if someone calls your name in a crowded room and you immediately respond with sharp clarity, it is a sign of a highly alert and healthy mind. This rapid response demonstrates strong cognitive function, excellent auditory processing, and a secure sense of self-awareness. It shows that your brain is actively monitoring your environment, fully present in the moment, and ready to engage with external stimuli without hesitation or mental fog. If you find yourself frequently looking back over your shoulder while walking down a public street, it often reveals a lack of core self-confidence or an underlying state of hypervigilance. This habit suggests an internal feeling of insecurity, as if you're constantly anticipating a threat or expecting judgment from behind. True confidence allows a person to fix their gaze forward, moving through the world with an open posture and a belief that they belong in the space they occupy. To truly lighten the burden of your life journey, you must first develop a deep sense of confidence within the safety of your own home. Your home environment is the foundational launching pad for your psychological well-being. If your private life is filled with chaos, self-doubt, and unresolved tension, it becomes incredibly difficult to project strength to the outside world. Peace must be cultivated in private before it can ever be successfully maintained in public. An incredibly fascinating neurological phenomenon occurs between the hours of 5 and 7 in the evening. If you consciously choose not to carry the heavy emotional baggage of your past into your daily life, your brain becomes remarkably active and creative during these sunset hours. When a mind is freed from the exhausting task of constantly processing old regrets and resentments, it redirects that massive amount of energy toward innovation, deep thought, and vibrant problem solving. In the realm of interpersonal attraction, vocal characteristics play an immensely powerful role. Women are naturally drawn to men with deep, resonant voices, as the subconscious mind associates these tones with confidence, stability, and protective dominance. This preference is deeply rooted in our evolutionary biology, where lower vocal frequencies signal physical maturity and strength. In modern communication, a calm, deep voice can instantly command authority and inspire trust without ever needing to raise its volume. Your physical senses are also intimately tied to your overall cognitive sharpness. Individuals who possess an exceptionally strong and nuanced sense of smell often tend to have a significantly sharper, more agile brain. The olfactory bulb is directly connected to the limbic system, the ancient center of memory and emotion in the human brain. A highly developed sense of smell means your neural pathways are highly sensitive and efficient, often correlating with vivid memories and quick mental processing. There is a timeless hierarchy of wisdom that we should all strive to practice in our daily lives. Thinking well is undoubtedly wise, as it prevents foolish mistakes. Planning well is even wiser, as it structures your goals and creates a clear path forward. But doing well, taking immediate, decisive action, is the absolute wisest and best approach of all. Without execution, the most brilliant thoughts and perfect plans remain nothing more than empty illusions. You must always remember that you inevitably become what you habitually think about throughout your days. Your dominant thoughts gradually shape your deep core beliefs. Your beliefs drive your daily actions, and your actions ultimately determine your destiny. If you constantly feed your mind with thoughts of scarcity, fear, and self-doubt, your reality will mirror those limitations. Cultivating a habit of focusing on growth, resilience, and possibility will literally reshape your life. A tragic reality of human relationships is that the person who tries desperately to make everyone else happy usually ends up feeling the most lonely. By constantly prioritizing the emotional needs of others above their own, they quietly teaching the world that their own feelings do not matter. They become surrounded by people who love what they provide, but rarely love who they actually are. When the crowd disperses, they are left alone in the quiet emptiness of their own neglected soul. When someone intends to mistreat you or excuse their own cruel behavior, they will always find a way to alter the narrative to suit their needs. It is like an old fable where a cat, wanting to justify eating her own kittens, convinces herself that they look exactly like mice. People will rationalize their unfair actions by rewriting your character, turning you into the villain of their story to preserve their own fragile ego. Recognizing this protects you from internalizing their toxic projections. Sometimes, sudden waves of intense jealousy are simply your brain's clumsy, instinctual way of showing you how deeply you truly care about something or someone. Jealousy is a highly uncomfortable emotion, but beneath its sharp surface lies a clear map of your deepest vulnerabilities and desires. Instead of suppressing it, use it as an opportunity for deep self-reflection to understand what you are terrified of losing or what you deeply desire to achieve. In social interactions, individuals who consistently provide short, concise answers are often highly intelligent and perceptive. They do not feel the need to fill the silence with empty words or over-explain their positions to gain social approval. They process information rapidly, filter out the noise, and deliver the exact essence of their thoughts. Their brevity is not a sign of coldness. It is a demonstration of absolute mental clarity and respect for the value of language. Your subconscious mind operates exactly like a highly disciplined soldier, executing the precise instructions you feed it. If you constantly tell yourself that you're too tired, that a task is completely impossible, or that you are bound to fail, your mind will actively work to make that your reality. Conversely, if you instruct your mind with commands of strength, focus, and capability, it will uncover hidden reserves of energy and creative solutions to carry you through. The shifting balance of power in life is an absolute certainty that everyone must eventually face. When the powerful snake grows old and loses its venom, even the fragile frog will find the courage to tease him. Status, youth, and physical strength are entirely temporary gifts. If you base your entire identity on external power, you'll be left utterly defenseless when time inevitably strips those assets away. True resilience must be built on internal character, which never fades. The way a person shakes your hand can reveal an immense amount about their underlying psychological makeup. If someone firmly holds onto your hand for a few moments longer than usual during a handshake, they are typically an exceptionally confident and grounded individual. This extended physical contact demonstrates a total lack of social anxiety, an openness to genuine connection, and a desire to establish a memorable, assertive presence right from the very start. Childhood developmental milestones also offer fascinating clues about long-term cognitive potential. Children who begin to speak fluently at an unusually early age often grow up to possess incredibly strong, highly retentive memories. Their early language acquisition indicates rapid neural development and a highly efficient system for categorizing and retrieving information. This early gift often serves as a foundation for advanced analytical thinking and communication skills later in life. The simple physical act of smiling holds immense, transformative psychological power. Smiling naturally increases your physical energy, dramatically improves your immediate mental health, and significantly reduces the biological risks of heart attacks and deep depression. When you force a smile, even during a difficult moment, you trigger a positive feedback loop that releases endorphins and lowers stress. It is a powerful tool for emotional self-mastery that is always available to you. When you find yourself entering, sometimes protecting your own peace of mind requires you to quietly step back and allow others to live in the reality they have consciously chosen for themselves. You should always make a conscious effort to listen deeply to the guidance of highly experienced people. Their value lies not just in their achievements, but in the fact that they understand the precise reasons behind their painful failures. Success can often be an accidental product of luck, but failure leaves behind a highly detailed roadmap of what not to do. Learning from the scars of others allows you to navigate the world without needing to bleed yourself. It is a profound psychological misconception that crying is a sign of emotional weakness. In truth, individuals who allow themselves to cry frequently are mentally and emotionally stronger than those who rigidly suppress their tears. Crying is a highly efficient, natural biological release mechanism that clears away accumulated emotional toxicity and lowers stress chemicals. Those who cry acknowledge their pain, process it completely, and emerge from the experience genuinely renewed. The emotional lens through which you view the world entirely dictates your daily experience of reality. Happy people naturally see the world exactly the way they want it to be, filtering out negativity and focusing on beauty and opportunity. Their joy acts as a beautiful filter, transforming ordinary moments into beautiful memories. They understand that happiness is not a consequence of external circumstances, but a deliberate internal choice. If you're faced with someone who insults you or tries to diminish your worth, psychology offers an incredibly potent response. Smiling calmly and warmly directly at someone who is attempting to insult you will hurt them like a hidden dagger. Your calm smile instantly communicates that their toxic words have absolutely no power over your emotional state. It completely shatters their expectations, turning their aggression back upon them while keeping your dignity perfectly intact. Conversely, individuals who are deeply sad or grieving tend to see the world exactly as it truly is, free from any comforting illusions. Depression and deep sadness can sometimes strip away the protective bias that keeps us optimistic, forcing the mind to confront the raw, unfiltered reality of existence. While this perspective can feel incredibly heavy, it also brings a rare, profound honesty that can serve as a foundation for authentic art and deep empathy. Emotionally sensitive individuals are frequently mischaracterized as fragile, but they are actually among the strongest people in existence. They possess the unique capacity to connect every single life experience with deep, profound emotion. They do not skim along the surface of life. They dive into the absolute depths of both joy and sorrow. To feel everything intensely and still find the courage to wake up and face the world each morning requires an extraordinary amount of resilience. Being completely ignored or rejected by someone who holds an important place in your life causes an incredibly severe psychological reaction. Neurological studies show that social rejection activates the exact same pain pathways in the human brain as a physical injury. The ache in your heart is not just a metaphor. It is a genuine neurological trauma. Recognizing this helps us treat ourselves with far more gentleness when navigating the painful end of a meaningful relationship. It may come as a pleasant surprise that a tendency toward mild forgetfulness is actually a powerful sign of exceptionally high intelligence. A highly active, sophisticated brain constantly evaluates information quietly, discarding irrelevant details to make room for complex concepts and creative problem solving. If you occasionally forget where you placed your keys, it is likely because your mind is occupied with far more significant, deep thoughts. However, we must remain highly vigilant about the devastating impact of prolonged, unaddressed isolation. Living in a state of long-term loneliness is documented to be just as physically destructive to your body as smoking 15 cigarettes every single day. Human isolation actively accelerates cellular aging, severely weakens the immune system, and places a massive strain on cardiovascular health. We require authentic, loving human connection just as much as we require clean air and water. As you navigate the complex web of human relationships, remember this vital psychological rule. Never show an excessive, overwhelming amount of love or constant care to someone who has not earned it, as people naturally tend to devalue whatever is given to them completely free of charge. When your affection is boundless and lacks healthy boundaries, it ceases to feel like a precious gift and begins to feel like an obligation. Protecting your emotional currency ensures that your care is respected, cherished, and reciprocated by those who truly deserve a place in your life.